two uncles all lived in this little trailer in Wapapillo for a long time. And then, of course, me and my mom moved around a bunch. It was like that trailer and then a trailer down the road. And then we moved to like East St. Louis when I was little. And then,
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. And we kind of lived around all around Missouri. But kind of southeast Missouri is kind of like what I would call my home base.
Is that kind of what got you into like fighting and stuff? It's just, I remember in where I'm from, the dudes that were living in the mobile home parks, they
Scrapping
were
all the time.
Scrapping. You had to scrap.
Had to scrap. That's the only thing to do. It was fight. No, I got into martial arts. Like I kind of just had like a natural wanting to do it because I grew up. I watched Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles, all Karate Kid, all that stuff. And then my uncle Louie moved with my older uncle John to Washington D.C. when he was there. And he started doing like submission grappling and stuff like that. So when he moved back, he started kind of showing me all that stuff, introduced me to the UFC, and then it just took off from there. And then I started doing Muay Thai when I was a little kid, and then that grew into judo. Judo grew into MMA. MMA grew into doing jiu-jitsu all the time. And so I've been just doing martial arts since I was a tiny kid.
Yeah. How much older are you than me and Tyler? Or are you younger?
A couple years. I'm 36.
36.
So a couple years. So I met Tyler through the judo program at SEMO.
Yeah.
I was going to SEMO. He was a freshman, and he started doing judo, and I was already doing it. That's how me and Tyler met.
Yeah, so I actually got into jiu-jitsu like right at the same time Tyler did, like in 2010, 2011. Yeah. But I just didn't stick with it. I just like, for whatever reason.
Don't worry, he ain't training right now. You're going to catch up to him.
Right. I hope. But I always think like, man, how different my life would be had I like gotten serious with jiu-jitsu in 2010, as opposed to like just over the past few years trying to get,
Yeah. So this is what I say because I get a lot of that from people. Like, oh, I wish I would have, started or kept with it. And what I tell people is like, man, life happens.
Right.
And the good thing about jiu-jitsu is that it's always going on. Like there's no season. So jiu-jitsu is not going anywhere, especially now where there's a gym in every fucking town now. It's not like the old days when I first started where we were like, oh, holy shit. Like, this purple belt from St. Louis is moving to Cape to open up a gym. We were all blown away by it.
Right.
Now that we have 3 different black belts in town that all own their own gyms in Cape Girardeau now, which is, maybe not the best for business, but fuck it.
Yeah. I mean, business-wise, maybe not so, but for the people who actually want to learn jiu-jitsu and like just jiu-jitsu as a whole, that's awesome. That there, like you said, almost every town has a gym now. So anybody can train, anybody can learn it. And it's like, I don't think people realize how awesome jiu-jitsu is, like just for like your body. It's a great exercise. It's good for your mind. Like, I get really, tensed up and unpleasant to be around whenever I'm not training.
Same.
And whenever
I'm real bad.
When I'm training, like my mood is just all so much better. But
there's a lot you can dive into that too, like just like the science of like, exercising releases endorphins. That's part of it. But there's also a sense of community at your jiu-jitsu gym, and stuff like that. And then like I've always been a fan of, like the amount of people that jiu-jitsu brings into the gym that normally would not be interacting with each other.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like I'm a product of that. So my judo coach ran when I was a kid and I started judo. My judo coach ran a juvenile program for like at-risk youth. And he was doing a deal like would you rather serve out your entire probation or you can do 6 months of judo? And so he just wrote his PhD dissertation on it. He had a 0% recidivism rate for the kids that picked judo. And I think a lot of that, there's a lot of, in judo and jiu-jitsu, or any grappling art really, there's a lot of taking care of your partner. So you learn how to, be empathetic to your other partner's needs and things like that, which some people might not get in their daily lives. Also, it puts you around more productive members of society just naturally.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid and at-risk youth and I'm doing judo with like, this dude's an MMA fighter. This dude is a top lawyer. Just people that like come from different places and despite their circumstances aren't fucking up like I was as a kid. And it gave me as a child, a different view on life that hey, there are different options here. And I think that's a big thing, a big sense of the community, especially when you're talking about grappling arts.
Right. Like that's the thing with most people, it's like they need that structure, and the gym has a structure to it. Because if people don't have structure in their life, they almost 9 times out of 10 they just fall into something negative.
Oh, it sucks, dude.
You know,
it sucks.
Especially young kids.
Yeah, I was a little skateboard punk, dude.
Right.
And like me and my best friend at the time, I think we were in like 7th grade, 7th grade, and we had just read like the Anarchist Cookbook.
Right.
So we were fucking up, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We went to his neighbor's house, and as kids, like stole checks from his neighbor's mailbox and like forged them and tried to like try to cash them. And then the cops pulled up on us at the mall and fucking arrested us. It was rough, dude. And like now that's not like as far as like being like a violent kid or anything. I wasn't anything like that. I was just doing stupid shit.
Product of the environment. Like you're hanging out with those people. You're gonna do what those people are gonna do. That's kind of how I was. Like I was semi-sheltered. You know, my parents lived out in the country, so I wasn't like in the neighborhood with a lot of kids. But I remember, you know, going to like my friends' houses that lived in a neighborhood that had other kids, and you go and you meet up, and it's like, dude, you're gonna get in trouble. I remember when we were getting to that age where we were getting in trouble, starting to like get into people's cars, trying to steal beer, and you know, getting drunk, smoking weed.
The dumbest stuff.
You know, at like 14, 15, you know. But had somebody, you know, come to me and been like, hey, you know, you guys need to come to my gym, and I'll show you this martial art. That probably would have been a lot more beneficial for a lot of us, because I was different. All my friends that I hung out with growing up, and a lot of them are on dope now.